Hey everybody, I am Dr. Debbie Pates, and I'm gonna grab a block. Welcome to our final Wellness Wednesday. If you want, I'm gonna talk for a minute whether you want me to or not. If you want, go ahead and get into child's pose. Bring your knees wide, or maybe have your knees together. Make adjustments based on what feels right to your body today, and really try to listen to your body rather than listen to what your brain tells you. And maybe, one of the ways that I play around with that is if I like most of the time I'll have my knees wide when I go into child's pose. That's comfortable for my body. I like it. Sometimes I'll have my knees together and say, how does this feel in my body today? Does it feel good? Does it feel like something I'd like to keep doing? So settle in, and as you lay here and breathe, I'm gonna make a couple of announcements. So as probably most of you guys know, when COVID started and everything shut down, we, Galleries of Contemporary Art and Daisy McGowan, its curator, and I decided that it would be a cool thing to continue doing our Wellness Wednesdays online. And so that's when I moved yoga Wellness Wednesdays into my living room. So we've been doing that for a long time now. This is probably number 55 or 56, and I know I messed up the numbering sometimes and I skipped a couple. So it's been a long time that we've been doing this, and I really love having been able to offer this to you and that you guys have tuned in. We're changing the format. This is our last Wellness Wednesday online, and it's our last Wellness Wednesday period. I may, as a service of GOCA, okay, through UCCS. I'm still thinking about whether I want to try to do shorter live yoga and meditation videos. I'm waiting to see what my fall schedule ends up being like. We're anticipating that at the Wellness Center it's going to be really, really busy in the fall, and I would like to continue doing something shorter, but never fear, you don't have to miss yoga with me entirely, and you definitely don't have to miss yoga at GOCA, because I'm going to be taking a break for a little while. We're going on hiatus, and then we're going to start, instead of doing Wellness Wednesdays, we're going to do Mindful Movement Mondays. Mindful Movement Mondays, noon to 1 at the Galleries of Contemporary Art. So I do not know, a couple people have reached out and asked whether we're going to have an online format for that as well, and the answer right now is I don't know. But we will be meeting in person at the Galleries of Contemporary Art in the Ent Center on campus beginning the week after Labor Day. So Labor Day is a Monday. I believe it's Monday the 6th. Join me in person at noon on the 12th, and I will be making a couple announcements in between then and now, but I am going on hiatus, so this is the last time I'm going to teach between now and September. So with that said, feel free to reach out to me. Any questions, any comments, any suggestions, and I have blabbed plenty. Let's do some yoga. From child's pose, push up on the hands and knees. And start to come into some cat-cows. Hands under your shoulders, knees under your hips. You want to stack your joints, keeping things in alignment. And everybody's alignment is different, which is why I don't like giving too many alignment cues, but there are some important things. We don't want to overtax our joints, especially as you get older and you start feeling those aches and pains, and people start getting things replaced. And one of the ways to keep things from getting replaced is to keep taking care of them, keep them lubricated, be nice to them. you know. And so if you stack your joints, you're stressing them less. I have no idea what I just did with my hair. Okay, from cat-cow, where I want to come to a seated and do a little bit of neck rolls. So cross your legs behind you and simply come into a seated position. And whatever seated position you came into, if you're in a cross-legged position, which I sort of prepped you for because I say cross your legs behind you, if you're in a cross-legged position, then whichever way you went to is probably the way you just sort of go to naturally. Cross the legs opposite. Right? So just to balance, getting some balance. And then sit with your hands on your legs somewhere. I have my wrists on my knees, but that's not necessary. You can have your hands in your lap, whatever is least stressful and most comfortable. I want you to have your shoulders relaxed and drop your chin to your chest. And breathe. So maybe right now, sometimes people in this chin to chest, seated upright shape, feel something all the way from the back of their head down to their spine. And if that's you, you are definitely there. We are looking for sensation and you've got it. But if you need more sensation because you're not feeling enough, interlace your hands behind your head and allow your elbows to come down by your ears. And don't pull. Just let the weight of your arms, your hands, give a little bit more oomph to the stretch. And breathe. Inhaling and exhaling on inhales, filling up, and maybe softening and deepening as you exhale. And sometimes that softening and deepening, especially in a shape like this, isn't really going to look like much. Sometimes it's just even a softening in your mind and allowing. Release your hands if they are behind your head and roll your right ear to your right shoulder. And pause. Again, if you're feeling something, you are there. You're exactly where you need to be. Notice if you're leaning over to the right a little bit and sit up tall. Reconnect with the tall spine. If you need more, right hand gently again on the top of your head. And maybe to intensify even a bit more, straighten your right arm and push out through the heel of, I meant left. Push out through the heel of your left hand. And breathe. Notice always if you begin to hold your breath. And use that as a sign that you're actually taking it too far. You want to be feeling something, but not feeling so much that you begin to hold your breath. Sometimes in life, we hold our breath when things get intense. And as always, this practice on the mat of noticing becomes something we can use in our life. Release your hands, bring them back to your mat, or your lap rather. Roll your chin center. Roll. While your chin is centered, connect with tall spine. Roll your shoulders up and down. Let your shoulders come back. Maybe even squeeze shoulder blades behind you a little bit with your chin to your chest. Ooh, that's interesting. And then continue rolling your chin, rolling your head, left ear toward left shoulder. And allow yourself to check in here with this side. So you may feel a different need here. Our necks are very sensitive, subject to injury in lots and lots of people. So the different sides of our neck are different, but maybe left hand on the top of your head, and maybe you push out through the heel of your right hand. And if you're doing that, I should have said this on the other side, experiment with, where do I feel it? Do I want my hand a little bit in front of me? Do I want my hand a little bit in back of me, closer to the floor, higher, lower? And then find it and breathe. Simply sit with this stretch for your neck. Our necks. What would you do if you couldn't turn your head? I met somebody once who couldn't turn her head. She had to turn her whole body. And I never really thought about how much I take my neck mobility for granted. So giving it a little love, release, bring your hands to your knees or your lap, and now start making circles in whatever direction you like with your head. Noticing the tendons, the ligaments, the snap, crackle, pops, any muscle tightness that you feel. You're welcome to stop and maybe kind of move around back and forth in one spot that might feel particularly tight. And as you get back to center, reverse your direction. And the same thing. Noticing a difference, if there is one, in how this side feels. Noticing where your little snap, crackle, pops show up, where you might want to stop. Ooh, back here, this is a place I want to just spend a moment moving my head gently back and forth, whatever. Letting it feel good. We need to take care of our bodies. We need to sometimes slow down. Don't worry, we'll speed up again in this practice. Come on back to center and lift your head up. Allow your left hand to creep along the floor and bring your right arm up, bicep by your ear. Keep your right butt cheek on the ground and side stretch over. So it's not about how far your hand goes. I mean, if I lift my butt cheek up, I can get my hand really far. But it's about stretching through the side body, through your waist, through your rib cage, through your lats, your latissimus dorsi, that V-shaped muscle in your back, through your shoulders. And then come on up and bring your right hand behind your back. Bring your left hand to the top of your right leg, wherever, it doesn't matter. And just gently, we haven't warmed up much, gently twist. Look over your right shoulder-ish, if that feels good. And then come on back to center. Bring your hands to your knees or your lap for a minute. Take an inhale. Exhale. And then let your right hand come to the floor. And bring your left arm up and over, bicep by your ear. Keeping your left butt cheek on the ground, stretching through your ribs, through the flesh of your rib cage, through your muscles, waist, feeling it wherever it is that you feel it, going only as far as is what's right for you. Using your breath. Inhales can be extensions, exhales a softening. And then come on up, let your left hand come behind your back, right hand to your left thigh, wherever, and a very gentle twist. And maybe as we're doing this, you check in with your muscles, with what's showing up. Have you been very sedentary, very active? How it's showing up in your body, doing your best not to move into judgment, just what Buddhist Western tradition or Eastern traditions call witness mind. And then come on back center, place your hands on your knees, inhale, flex your spine forward, and then exhale, round, borrowing a little bit from Kundalini yoga. Inhale, flex forward. We're not doing a Kundalini set here, but just a couple movements. Exhale back, sort of like cat-cow sitting on your butt, noticing the difference in the movement here. And then come on back to a tall spine, and once again take an inhale and an exhale here. Maybe bring a smile to your lips. And let's come back to the top of our mat. Come to hands and knees. Step back, high plank. Hold high plank for a moment here. Hands underneath your shoulders. Heels pushing back. Tailbone is kind of tucking here. You don't want to, you want to be, think about plank, right? You want plank to be a board of wood. So you're as straight as you can be, given the natural curves of your body. And then, without moving your hands and feet, at least for right now, push into your hands, lift from underneath your navel, send your hips back, come on into downward facing dog. Let your heels sink to the ground. Make any movements. We're going to spend a few moments holding steady in down dog. But first, if you want to pedal your heels out, stretching, so bending one knee, letting the opposite heel sink down, stretching through the whole back of that leg. Really, a lot of people are going to feel it, especially intensely in the calf and the Achilles. Well, maybe then you switch sides. Always being mindful of the difference in both sides and being non-judgmental as much as possible, right? Maybe you have an injury on one side that impacts your mobility. It just is what it is. It's not something you need to go into a whole story about. Maybe you're assessing, hey, how's it doing today? And then find stillness. Hands are flat, pushing into the floor, especially that fleshy part underneath your fingers, fleshy part underneath your thumb. So the weight is rolling in rather than out. Lifting perhaps your knees, engaging your thighs, even sending your knees back a little bit, which may give a bit more intensity in your calves. Letting your shoulder blades go down your back. Getting strong while staying calm. Flexing the muscle of calmness. And then drop your knees to the ground. You might walk a little bit forward on your mat. Separate your feet wider than hip distance. Virasana, hero's pose. Start with just sitting up tall. Don't resist the urge, or do resist the urge to begin moving back. So sit up tall, butt in between your knees. If your butt is really far off the ground, place a block there. Check in. How are your knees feeling? How are your quadriceps, your tops of your thighs feeling? How are your ankles and your feet feeling? Come back here later. So just stay here. Stay here for a few breaths. How are your shoulders? Are your shoulders creeping up to your ears? Are they relaxed? How's your breath? How's your mind? How's your jaw? And now back to hands and knees. Step your feet back to high plank. Lift up to down dog. Land in down dog. And then take a bunch of baby steps. We'll begin our flow with ragdoll. So it's not really beginning the flow, we're easing into our flow. Hang your head low. Stand in a forward fold. I had a back injury. It's still kind of twingy, but this movement was really hard to do. This is not a movement you want to lose. I want to be able to put my shoes on without one of those long clippy thingies that you can find at, those stores that have all kinds of implements for people who have various disabilities. And it's wonderful that they exist for people who need them, but what a shame it would be to begin to need one simply because you didn't take care of your body. So thinking about how important, as I say, integral, these movements are, how essential, taking care of every part of ourselves, from our pinky toe to our ears. All of it is to our well-being. Soften your knees and roll up. Isn't it really all about well-being? Nobody gets to decide how strong you need to be, how flexible you need to be. That's you and your barometer of what it means to you to move into your sense of well-being. When you get to standing, roll your shoulders up and back and down a couple of times. Maybe roll your neck again, and then inhale your arms up. And bring your hands together overhead and pull that energy into your heart. Inhale and exhale. We're not just blowing through these movements. We're doing these movements with intention. And part of our intention is I want to honor my body. I don't want to beat my body up so that when I get old, I need replacement parts. I want to die with as many of my original parts in place. And you know how we do that? By taking care of them. I mean, there's certainly a little bit of luck, right? Genetics, not getting in an accident. But part of the way that we do that is through care. Relationships don't grow through us being mean. Don't be mean to your own body. Develop a loving, respectful relationship with it. Inhale your arms up. Sun, salutation, A, dive forward. Halfway lift, lengthen your spine, which includes your neck, flat back. Take it down. Sweep up again, arms out, rise. Stomach engaged. Bring your hands together overhead and bring your hands into your heart. Arms back up overhead. Separate your elbows, squeeze your shoulder blades together, opening your heart. Gentle back bend. Inhale your arms up and dive forward. Halfway lift, lengthen. Hands down and step back to high plank. Chaturanga, lower. Upward facing dog or cobra. Rolling over your toes, downward facing dog. Inhale and exhale. Look in between your hands and step, jump, hop to the top of your space. Lengthen, flat back. Refold. Sweep up, rise. Bring your hands together overhead and bring your energy back into your heart. Always reconnecting with your own heart energy, and that's a practice as well. Arms up and dive. Halfway lift, lengthen. Put your hands down and come to high plank, stepping back with the opposite foot. Chaturanga. Upward facing dog. 2, downward facing dog. One more time and doing a sun A. Looking feet in between your hands and step forward, halfway lift. Forward fold, sweep your arms up, rise, bring your hands together overhead and pull your energy into your heart. Inhale your arms up. One more time, dive forward. Well, one more time for sun A's. Halfway lift, step back, high plank. Lower chaturanga, upward facing dog. 2, downward facing dog. Lift your right leg up. Bend your knee, open your hip. Maybe make circles. Whatever feels good. And then bring your right leg back up and step through. Drop your left knee. Starting out with a gentle sun B. Rise up, crescent moon. Sink into your right knee. Open up through your left hip flexor. And you might notice that your right hip is coming forward a little bit. Even out your pelvis by pulling your right hip crease back a little bit, sinking into your left hip flexor by deepening the bend in your right knee. And then place your left hand down on the mat. We'll come back to this, but we're going to start gently at first. Left hand down under your left shoulder and sweep your right arm up. So with your left knee on the ground, you may have less range of motion. So go as high as you can and then stop where your body naturally stops. And then come on back down with your right hand. Tuck your left toes. Lift your left knee. Step your right foot back, high plank. All right, little creative movement here. Shift your weight into your right hand and lift your right leg. And then gently, if you can, lift your left hand up. Balance, reach, engage muscles. Put it down, chaturanga. Upward facing dog to downward facing dog. Lift your left leg up. Bend your left knee and open up your hip as wide as feels good, which maybe is a lot and maybe isn't much at all. Making circles, knee or ankle, and then bring your leg back up and step it through. So a joint stacking thing here. You want your left knee over your left ankle, drop your right knee, and rise, crescent moon. Pull your left hip crease back. You can have your arms on your thighs, your arms up above you. And breathe and sink into these big muscles, big joints. Breathe, exercising your lungs as well. And then bring your right hand down onto the mat underneath your right shoulder and lift your left hand up. Respecting the difference on this side without needing to compare, right? I mean, we notice the difference in our children, but we do our best not to compare. Left hand back down, lift your right knee up, step back, high plank, shift your weight into your left hand, lift your right leg, right leg. And then, no, I messed that up. Lift your left leg, sorry. Shift your weight into your left hand, lift your left leg, and then lift your right arm to whatever degree you can. Maybe you barely lift your fingers off the ground, and that's fine. It doesn't matter where we get. Enjoy the journey, enjoy the trying, and then everything down, chaturanga. Upward facing dog to downward facing dog. Step to the top of your mat. Halfway lift, lengthen. Exhale, forward fold. Bend your knees. Utkatasana, chair pose. Some of you might be like, wow, I never thought I'd be happy to get to Utkatasana, but that was a little bit nuts. Here we are, Utkatasana. Elbows straight as you need them to be, as you want them to be. Maybe you want them to be straight. Maybe I should say as straight as they can be here. Knees as bent as feels good. I'm not sinking as deeply as I might because I worked my thighs pretty hard. And then forward fold. So we decide, right hand forward fold. Is yoga a complement to whatever else I do? So maybe if you do a lot of sitting around, halfway lift, you really push it in yoga. Hands down, step back, high plank. Hold high plank. But if we do a lot of pushing it, maybe you need to back off in yoga. Chaturanga. Hold chaturanga. Hug your elbows into your rib cage. Upward facing dog to downward facing dog. Right? So when I say get what you need out of your yoga practice, really it is a very, very personal answer. Lift your right leg up. Step it through, low lunge. Keep your left hand on the ground, left knee up, and lift your right arm up. So notice now that with your left knee up, you may have a greater range of motion. You may even be able to rotate your rib cage a little bit more, left ribs rotating under, opening your heart, right hand opening up. You might even come on the pinky edge of your right foot here and roll your knee out a little bit. And then bring everything back center. Keep your knee off the ground and rise up to crescent lunge. Crescent lunge. Once again, bring your right hip crease back, left hip point forward. Send your left heel back. Bring your torso, keep your hands over your head, biceps by your ears, and bring your torso over your right thigh, reaching your fingertips in front of you. And then sweep your arms back, airplane arms. And then rise back up, crescent lunge, arms up, open up, warrior two. Spin your back heel flat, track your right knee out over your right pinky toe. Try to have your torso upright as your right arm reaches forward, left arm reaches back. If it works for your neck, traditionally you'd have your right hand, your gaze over your right fingertips, and then flip that right palm you're looking at, reverse your warrior. Keep your right knee bent as you reach, another stretch through the ribs, and windmill down. High plank, chaturanga, upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Before we move on, breathe. Downward facing dog, breathe in, breathe out. And then lift your left leg up, step it through low lunge. Heel and knee stack. Keep your right hand down right hand down, right knee up, lift your left hand up. And once again, maybe you have greater range of motion here. Maybe you come onto the pinky edge of your left foot and you roll open. You don't have to, but maybe you want to. And you might experiment with it and then change your mind. Come on back down. Keep your right knee off the ground and rise to crescent. Bring your left hip crease back. Send your right hip point forward. Maybe you straighten your back leg if it's okay for your back. Or you either way, you push your right heel back, sinking into your left knee. And then keeping your biceps by your ears. Hinge your torso forward. Big strength movement here. Sweep your arms back, airplane arms, palms facing the floor. And then arms back up again. Spin your left foot flat. Warrior two. Track your left knee over your left pinky toes. Reach your right arm back and your left arm forward. Sink into your left knee, looking at your left fingertips if it works for you. Flip your left palm and take it back in the reverse warrior. Reverse warrior. Windmill down. High plank. Low plank. Upward facing dog. Two. Downward facing dog. Take a few breaths. Look in between your hands and step, jump, hop, top of your mat, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold, bend your knees, squat, and rise, Utkatasana, and then stand up, bring your hands together, and bring your hands into your heart. Right back up, chair pose. Bring your hands to your heart and twist. Left elbow to the outside of your right knee. Even out your knees, even out your sacrum. So we're looking for the twist in as much of our back as we can, but not in our pelvis. Our sacrum isn't intended to twist. And then forward fold, gorilla. Separate your feet, hip width. Slide your hands under your feet, palms up. Bend your knees as much as you need to get your fingertips kissing your wrist crease. Inhale, lengthen your spine, and then forward fold. Let your neck be soft. Maybe you work on rolling your weight forward a little bit. Toes pushing into that fleshy part of the bottom of your hand. Maybe you work on pulling your elbows out, noticing where you feel each of these things. Some people can have straight legs here, some people have extremely bent legs. It's personal, and neither of those things says anything about how worthy you are as a person or the capacity for happiness and self-fulfillment that you have. Release your hands, bring your big toes back into touch, bend your knees, chair pose, hands to your heart, right elbow outside of your left knee twist. Feels good to move your body. Thank you, body, for everything you do to me. And then release. Put your hands down. You might need to center your mat differently. And let's do crow pose. Hands underneath your shoulders. Most of you probably know crow. Knees on the backs of your arms. Palms flat underneath shoulders. Shift your weight onto the backs of your arms. Lift your head. And begin to lift one leg up. And then the other leg up. Maybe you do one at a time. Maybe you do both. When you get there, hold. Pause. Breathe. This is easy. Try to straighten your elbows. And then come on down. And stand back up. I would have had you guys jump back into chaturanga, but I sort of said move to the middle of your mat. And that could have gotten complicated. So anyway, come on back to the top of your mat. Inhale your arms up. Utkatasana. Forward fold. Halfway lift. High plank. Chaturanga. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Lift your right leg up. Step it through low lunge. Keep your left hand on the mat. Rise. Lift your right arm up. Twist. Bring your right hand back down. Rise up to crescent. Bring your torso over your thighs, or right thigh. And then choice here, you guys. We're going to come into a balance. So your choice is to step up into warrior 3 with your hands like this, or bring your hands behind you and move into airplane. Neither one is right, just pick, doesn't matter. And then come on back down into crescent. Warrior 2, straighten your right knee. Reach forward, reach forward, reach forward, and tilt. Triangle pose. Left arm up, hand over your face. Trying to get length in both sides of your body, so crown of your head reaching forward. And then come on up, warrior 2, and windmill down. Step back, high plank, chaturanga, upward facing dog to downward facing dog. Lift your left leg up. Step it through low lunge. Keep your right hand down and lift your left hand up. Twist, twist, twist. Come on back down. Rise up, crescent. Torso over your thigh. Do you want your arms in front of you or back? Wherever you are, launch. Warrior 3 or airplane. Warrior 3 or airplane. And then step back, open up. Warrior 2, straighten your left knee, reach forward and tilt. Come into triangle pose. Right arm reaching up, left arm down, Breathing into all of the places you feel. Come on back up. Warrior two. Then windmill down. High plank. Chaturanga. Upward facing dog to downward facing dog. Ooh. Breathing down dog. Drop to your knees. We're going to get back up again, but for right this minute, drop to your knees. Virasana, hero's pose. Sit in between your heels, and now, if you want, continue back. You can separate your knees, but please keep your knees on the ground. So this is a shape that, oh my goodness, I see people wanting to lay down on the ground because we're such a goal-oriented society, you know? And so I want to lay down on the ground because that must be the penultimate expression of this shape. Well, I mean, for some people it is. But what if that compromises your knees and you need to bring your knees off the ground in order to do that? Not good, not good. That puts your knees in a really precarious position. And I would way rather you never ever lean back 1 millimeter than you blow your knees out for some weird goal that doesn't even actually mean anything anyway. All right, come on back up. If you're on your back, come to your hands and your knees. I'm very conscious of time kind of flying by. High plank, chaturanga, upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Lift your right leg up. Step it through, low lunge. Warrior two, one. Warrior one. Similar to crescent, but your back heel is down as close to a 45-degree angle as you can get it. Open up warrior two. Reach forward, extended side angle. You have your arm reaching straight up, your bicep by your ear, your choice. And then come on back up, warrior two. Straighten your right knee. Scoot your left foot in a little bit and turn both feet kind of facing forward. And steering wheel your hips forward. We're going to do reverse triangle. Right hand stays on your right hip. Lift your left arm up. Come down halfway. And then bring your left hand down. I have my block over there, but I didn't set this up very well. Twisting triangle. Left hand down, maybe underneath your left shoulder, maybe on your right shin or the outside of your right leg. Right arm up. Maybe you look up at your right hand. Try to have your back flat. You want both knees, well, I hate when I say stuff like that. If you need to bend your right knee a little bit, bend your right knee a little bit. But we want it as straight as possible. Release over your right leg, pyramid pose. Forward folding over your right leg. And then simply step your left foot up to meet your right, halfway lift. Forward fold. Rise up to standing. Bring your hands together overhead and bring your hands into your heart. Inhale your arms up. Chair. Forward fold. Halfway lift. Step back, high plank. Chaturanga. Upward facing dog. Two. Downward facing dog, lift your right leg. Bring it through low lunge. Spin your right heel flat and rise up. Warrior one. Hold warrior one, feeling the difference. Open warrior two. Reach forward. Extended side angle. Getting it while you can. Come on back up, warrior two. Straighten your left knee. And scoot your right foot in a little bit more. Turn your hips forward, hands on your hips. Keep your left hand on your hip crease there. Right arm up, come on back, come on down rather, halfway. And then twisting triangle on this side. So maybe here you put your hand underneath your right shoulder, whatever works on this side. You might lift your left arm, you might look up at it. Letting the breath be constant. So no matter how your body feels, forward fold pyramid. I suppose if you had a lung issue, but barring a lung issue, one thing that can stay constant as your practice fluctuates is your ability to breathe deeply. Step forward, right foot meets left, halfway lift. Forward fold, sweep your arms up, flat back, hands overhead, hands to your heart. Ah. All right. Tree pose. Shift your weight into your left foot and bring the sole of your right foot wherever you want on your left leg. Interlace your fingers and turn your palms up toward the ceiling. As always, in balancing shapes, one point of focus, a drishti, is going to help you stay steady. And I love that as an analogy for life, right? When we're scattered and trying to do 25 things at once, how well do we really do any of them? Bring your hands back into your heart. Bring your knees center and send your right leg out in front of you. Utthita Hasta Padangusthasana. And then let your right leg come down. Shake it out. Maybe you need to move your hips left to right a little bit. And then tree on the other side. Shift your weight into your right leg and bring your left foot anywhere that feels good on your right leg. When you get there, interlace your fingertips, interlace your fingers. Maybe you can remember and do opposite finger on top. And then send your palms to the sky. Notice whether you're leaning into your right hip. Reach up. Breathe. One point of focus. Doesn't mean you don't have different goals. It just means you stay steady on one thing. You know, rather than like my mom used to say, running around with like a chicken with its head cut off. Hands back into your heart. Left knee forward. Lift your left leg. Straighten your left leg. Try not to lean back. And then bring your left foot down. Come back to the top of your mat. If you're out there already, inhale your arms up. Forward fold. Halfway lift, lengthen. Fold and step back. High plank. Chaturanga. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. And bring your left knee forward. Come on into pigeon. I think I just said left and did right. So whichever side you're on, I'll keep this pretty simple. Come on down into pigeon. Deep, deep breath. noticing when the thoughts drift and bringing them back. Maybe focusing on what's happening inside. No, I didn't mean that. Maybe focusing on the physical sensations, but I don't mean over-analyzing them. I just mean notice your knee, each knee on the ground. Notice your forehead relaxing into either the floor or a block or your hands. Notice your low back. Notice your upper back. I'm going to do a queen pigeon here. So come on up onto your hands and bend your back leg and reach back with that same hand to grab the foot. You might stop here. You might be able to lift your torso a little higher. You might be able to raise your front arm. And some people can put their back foot in the crook of their elbow and clasp. I can't demonstrate that because I can't do it. And then release. And step back into high plank. Lift into down dog. Opposite side, pigeon. And when you find the leg position, let your head rest. On the mat, on the block, on fists. So sending a message to your body. When our neck is tense, that sends think about this. Our nervous system is housed in our spinal cord, and our neck is not only part of our spinal cord, but goes the part of our spinal cord that's like right attaching into the brain, right, which is the command center. So when our neck is tensed, that sends a message to the everything. Hey, maybe not 100% ready to relax here, but if we can relax our head, relax our neck, relax our breath, we send a very different message. Even when things are tense and stressful, we can remind ourselves to take deep breaths. King pigeon, queen pigeon, I forget which one it's called. Come on up on your hands, bend your back knee, reach back and grab your foot. Maybe you can place that foot in the crook of your elbow. Maybe you can reach up with your front hand and connect. Be gentle to yourself. Have grace as you age. I used to be able to do a lot of things I can't do now. But you know what? I can do things now that I didn't used to be able to do. It's just different. Release that. Sit over onto your hip. Swing your legs around. We've done a lot of forward folding, but we haven't done any open-legged folding. So come on into a straddle. Maybe for a moment, place your hands behind you and lift your pelvis, lift your butt up, and sort of tilt your pelvis forward a little bit, and then begin to crawl forward. So, once again, a reminder that this is our last Wellness Wednesday virtual yoga at GOCA, and in fact, in this format, it's our last Wellness Wednesday period. We will be returning live. Well, we're live now if you're watching live, but we will be returning live in person to the gallery on Monday, not Wednesday. Mindful Movement Mondays, woohoo! Starting September 12th. Crawl your torso over to one side. So, pre-pandemic, we supplied blocks, straps, and mats. I do not know what we're going to be doing post-pandemic. I will make sure that we get plenty of announcements out about that. So you may need to bring your own. We may be providing, I don't know. Come on back center and walk your torso over to the other side. So I'm going to miss doing yoga in my living room with animals surrounding me and walking through the scene at times. But it's going to be really nice to be able to be back and seeing each other, smiling at each other in real life, practicing together and sharing each other's energy. Remember, it's moving from Wednesday to Monday, same time, noon to 1. Roll up, bring your feet together, and roll down onto your back, hug your knees into your chest. Rock left to right. Let your left leg go long, keep your right knee in. Spinal twist, tee your right arm out, look right as you guide your right knee across your body to the left. Come on back center. Switch sides. Guide your left knee across your body. So these videos can be accessed if you come to the Dr. Debbie Pates page. Scroll down, they're all there. Dr. Debbie Pates YouTube channel, they're mostly all there. Come on back center. Hug both knees in. Thank your body. And release into Shavasana. So I sort of feel like it wouldn't be yoga in the summer with me if I didn't read you guys the Mary Oliver poem Summer Day. So I'm going to start with that, or I'm going to end rather with that. Who made the world? Who made the swan and the black bear? Who made the grasshopper? This grasshopper, I mean. The one who has flung herself out of the grass. The one who is eating sugar out of my hand. Who's moving her jaws back and forth instead of up and down. Who's gazing around with her enormous and complicated eyes. Now she lifts her pale forearms and thoroughly washes her face. Now she snaps her wings open and floats away. I don't know exactly what a prayer is. I do know how to pay attention, how to fall down into the grass, how to kneel in the grass, how to be idle and blessed, how to stroll through the fields, which is what I've been doing all day. Tell me, what else should I have done? Doesn't everything die at last? And too soon. Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? Thank you guys so much for joining me on the mat, on your computer, throughout this pandemic. Still unknown what's going to be in the future. But right now, I can't wait to see you guys September 12th, Monday, noon, for Mindful Movement Mondays, Gallery of Contemporary Arts. I am so grateful. Namaste.